Welcome to Fun and Fundraising, everybody, the podcast where we talk with people behind top nonprofit galas and signature fundraising events to showcase how they positively transform their communities. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, and today I'm really excited to have two special guests on. So we have Katie McGuiness, who is the Chief Artistic Officer for the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, and Vanessa Cain, who is the event chair for the 2025 Dallas Symphony Orchestra Gala. And it is one of the top arts events in Dallas every single year. It's held at the magnificently wonderful and beautiful Meyerson Symphony Center. It's a multi-act night. There's so many fun things to unpack and chat about in today's conversation. And, having Katie and Vanessa's expertise is really going to be just a treat for all of us. So with that, Katie, Vanessa, welcome. And I'm just so thrilled you're both here with us today.
Delighted to be here, Rob. Thanks so much for having us and hosting this episode on your podcast. It's exciting to be able to talk about the Dallas Symphony Orchestra Gala. It's a big event for us, so super excited to chat about that and all things Dallas Symphony Orchestra with our dear Vanessa as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'm thrilled to have you. So tell us a little bit about the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, because today this is a very special year. So share a little bit about that and what you all have coming up this season.
Absolutely, Rob. So on May 22nd, just passed, it was to the date exactly 125 years since the Dallas Symphony Orchestra started. On May 22nd, 1900, our first ever music director, Hans Krezig, created an orchestra, got a bunch of musicians together, and they had their first performance ever on May 22nd, 1900. So we kicked off our 125th anniversary year with a celebration on May 22nd, 2025. That's just been. And throughout the entire 25-26 season, we have gems spread throughout all of our programming that will celebrate that 125-year history, and will also celebrate the future ahead of us, the 125 years yet to come, which is really exciting. I think it's such a significant thing for the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. When I was looking into this and sort of looking at different orchestras and thinking about, what that means for an orchestra to be 125 years old, we are older than Cleveland Orchestra, which is 107 years old. We are just a tiny bit younger than the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, which I believe is 134 or 135 years old. We are just a little bit younger than Concertgebouw Orchestra in Amsterdam, that is also about 136, 137 years old. So that just sort of, for me, that gave me such great context and made me feel so proud to work for this incredible organization in this wonderful city of Dallas, and to know that this orchestra has been here for such a long time and stands next to those other giants like Cleveland and Chicago and Concertgebouw in terms of longevity, sustainability. So it's quite exciting to be celebrating our 125th anniversary year next season.
That's absolutely incredible. And would you be able to share, a couple of things that are coming up within the coming season from maybe not from a gala perspective, but more from a program perspective?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I, of course, was working closely with our music director, Fabio Luisi. Next season will be his 6th season with us as music director. We are so fortunate to have such an incredible leader with such great artistic vision. And of course, in my role, the main purpose of my role is to program with our music director and to think ahead. So we started planning for our 125th season all the way back in the year 2022, believe it or not. That's how far in advance we plan. And what we did to start off with that is we had a couple of different people in the organization, people on my team who were incredibly helpful with this. People in our communications team, our vice president of communications and media, Denise McGovern, was enormously helpful in looking through our history, because what Fabio and I wanted to do was find elements, programmatic elements in our history that we could highlight throughout our 25-26 season. So we've done that in many, many ways throughout the season, but two that stand out the most to me is we found that arguably one of the most famous composers, which is Igor Stravinsky, conducted the Dallas Symphony Orchestra in 1946. And on that program, he conducted his own Firebird Suite. And he had actually just recently done revisions of that Firebird Suite and then conducted it himself here at the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, which is an epic moment, quite frankly, in our history.
Yes,
And
it
so
is.
we found that because Denise was sort of looking through our archive material and she said, Katie, like, look what I found, back in 1946, just after he had reorchestrated it. Stravinsky conducted his Firebird Suite. So Fabio, of course, immediately jumped on that program and said, okay, I want to replicate that exact program. So Fabio will conduct that exact program that he did. Tchaikovsky's Second Symphony was on there as well. Ruslan ad Ludmilla, it was on there as well by Glinka. So Fabio will conduct that exact program to celebrate that wonderful moment in our history when Igor Stravinsky conducted us in 1946. For those who may sort of say, oh, do I know who Igor Stravinsky is? If you know Rite of Spring, the very famous Rite of Spring, that, of course, is his work. So really, arguably one of the most important composers in classical music and of the 20th century. So that's one. Then another moment that we found was that the incredibly famous and prestigious and talented Hungarian violinist Jascha Heifetz gave the world premiere of a new concerto by Hungarian composer Rózsa in 1956. And so the fact that Jascha Heifetz was here with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra gave that world premiere. That was another big moment for us that we sort of said, this is something that we have to highlight. And for that, that will also be on a program with Fabio Luisi. But what's really beautiful about that is we just recently discovered this young rising star. Her name is Aymaren Olmeda. She was a member of Sphinx Virtuosi. She made her Carnegie Hall debut when she was 14 years old. And now she is the old age of 17 years old. And so we are very excited that she was willing to be the person to give that performance of Rózsa's violin concerto. I think it's an incredibly proud moment for her as well to know that the last time that concerto was performed with our orchestra was by Jascha Heifetz. So that's a big moment for her as well. And interestingly, when we reached out to her to ask her would she be willing to do it, she had already just recently discovered this violin concerto and was kind of dabbling with it a little bit. So we got lucky with that, but it's going to be really exciting to have Aymaren Olmeda, a young star, 17 years old. She's still a student. She's studying with Miriam Fried in Boston at NEC. But truly a superstar, and that will be with our music director, Fabio Luisi. So those are two 125th highlights. And of course, to finish, for next season, not necessarily solely connected to the 125th anniversary, of course, but, two really exciting things to look forward to is Fabio Luisi will conduct Puccini's Madama Butterfly as an opera in concert in January. He made a commitment to do that when he became our music director every season. And of course, Madama Butterfly is one of the most loved operas. It'll be his first Italian opera, which is interesting. Of course, Fabio Luisi is Italian, from Genoa. And when we sat down and we decided, what should we do in terms of opera in concert next season? I said to him, you know what, Fabio, you've actually never done an opera by an Italian composer. And of course, we've just completed our epic journey through Wagner's full ring cycle. So we thought, okay, let's go a different direction. Let's do Italian. And Madama Butterfly is so popular, so loved. So that will happen in January. And then on top of that, another big moment for 25-26 is we will have two Mahler symphonies. So we'll open Fabio's first week on the classical subscription series will be with Mahler Symphony Number 4, with soprano Sofia Fomina with us, which will be really beautiful. And then towards the close of the season, so Fabio's last week with us on the classical subscription series, he will conduct the epic Mahler Symphony Number 8, which has a nickname of Symphony of 1,000. It is a spectacle. It is something to see. It is a large orchestra, large chorus, children's chorus, 8 soloists. It is rarely programmed because it is such a large work, but Fabio wanted to, as part of his music directorship with us, with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, his mission was to conduct all of the Mahler symphonies, which is very typical of music directors with orchestras. And it made the most sense for us to put Mahler Symphony Number 8, of course, which is the largest and is such a spectacle and something that is so rarely programmed, but something certainly to come and see. It made the most sense to put that with him in our 125th anniversary year. The last time we did it here was in 2000 with our previous music director, Andrew Litton. So it's for 125th, 25 years later. It all kind of matches up quite nicely. And it makes so much sense to put it there in that season. And if you were fortunate enough to get a spare ticket for our recent performance of Mahler Symphony Number 2 that closed our 24-25 season that just happened at the end of May. We had 3 performances at the end of May of Mahler Symphony Number 2 with Fabio Luisi. There was really not a spare seat in the house. I mean, I remember going to the box office trying to help people get tickets. There were other people there. Sadly, there were no tickets left for any of the 3 performances. We were completely sold out. The energy in the hall was exhilarating. It was the place to be. And because Mahler is just so lush, so romantic, I think people were wiping tears, good tears. People were wiping tears from their face. It was just such a powerful moment to have our wonderful music director, our incredible orchestra, such stunning soloists, and our amazing our amazing Dallas Symphony Chorus singing with us as well, that it was so incredibly special that I hope people then will know, right, I need to get myself a ticket for Mahler Symphony Number 4 and especially Mahler Symphony Number 8 next season.
That's just amazing. What I love about what's coming up for next season is you've got a legend and you've got the future and you've got a few epic things blended in. And that just goes to show when you plan out 3 years in advance and get everything kind of lined up, this is the end result of that is truly just a magical season of artistry. And I know we're here also to talk about the gala. And Vanessa, I want to direct this next question to you. Talk about how you initially got involved with Dallas Symphony Orchestra and your involvement with this year's gala as the chair.
Of course. So I actually started attending the symphony as a child with my parents. I remember going to concerts when they were still at Fair Park, where I sounds like the first concert first took place 125 years ago. And then I actually have pictures of myself in front of the beautiful new Meyerson at the time, probably in the early 90s.
Mm.
Uh, so so naturally, when the opportunity arose in 2021, many, many years later, I had this deep appreciation for symphony music and then all kinds of music. But to join the Board of Governors, I got very excited. I thought this was a good way that I could learn about the board and how to get young people more involved and create awareness in the community for not only the symphony, but also the programs that it supports, the young strings, the young musicians. And so
Well,
Yeah.
I
The-
was going to say, well, I think it's amazing. And I'm glad you're bringing up the part about getting younger people involved because that is really such a critical key component, especially with the arts, for people to kind of be inspired, especially by stuff that may have been made by previous generations. But as Katie kind of outlined with these programs, some of these works are iconic things. So I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit more if you'd like.
yes. So the being on the board allowed me to learn more about the youth programs and get
Mhm.
representation with young people in the symphony halls, come to concerts. And then when the opportunity came to be a gala chair, I thought this could expand my efforts. So that's how I got involved with the symphony, and that's how I got involved with the gala. And I think I'm helping serve the mission, which is of the DSO, which is to inspire and change lives through musical excellence.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
you absolutely are, and you know, I always like when people take the mantle and go and share and run things, and especially for you because it's been the DSO has been involved with you for really most of your life in some way, shape, or form. Having gone, to concerts, at the previous location back in the day. So I just think that is so cool, and just a great way to kind of honor your legacy, but also the legacy of Dallas and the Dallas Symphony Orchestra to be chairing this. And while we're on the subject of 125 years, Katie, I'd love for you to share how the organization has evolved. And Vanessa touched upon that about moving venues. Talk about some of the ways that DSO has evolved and grown over the past 125 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just before I do that, Vanessa, I want to see that picture of you standing in front of the Meyerson Symphony Center as a young girl. I love that thought, that you've been with us here at the Dallas Symphony Orchestra for your whole life, as you say. I mean, the hall opened in 1989. And it's one of the most beautiful halls in the world. I mean, we have artists coming in from all over the world that get to perform in concert halls all over the world all the time. And the feedback and the commentary on how stunning our hall is acoustically, visually, of course, as well, but acoustically is what our musicians and the artists always focus in on, is really remarkable. I mean, it's consistent. Every single artist that comes in, they just say this is one of the most beautiful halls in the world. So we're so, so lucky to have that. So I love, Vanessa, that you, as a young girl, got to hear it in its first couple of years. Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example of how far we've come. I mean, obviously, our roots are at Fair Park Music Hall, and we hold a very, very special place in our hearts for that space. And the McFarlane Auditorium as well hold a very, very special place in our hearts for that concert hall too, because that's a huge part of our history. Um, as I say, we started this orchestra as a small group of musicians getting together in 1900. And we've seen a lineage of amazing music directors that has grown and grown in terms of artistic standard over the years. I think the same is most certainly said of the musicians in our orchestra. That cannot be said with enough emphasis of how high the quality is, the artistic quality is of the musicians in our orchestra. It is incredibly competitive to get a position in a major symphony orchestra. So every single person that sits on our stage has gone through hundreds of auditions and treacherous trials and tenure review processes in order to get to that seat that they're sitting on stage with us. And through those years since 1900, we've seen that artistic growth, just on the level get higher and higher. And I think so much of that had to do with the fact that when it started, I'm sure in 1900, the idea was, hey, let's get this group of musicians together for the city of Dallas. But as the city of Dallas has grown in level and in excellence, so has the orchestra. And through the years, I think our first Carnegie Hall performance was in 1965. Then in 1992 is when we started our Young Strings program, which both you, Rob, and Vanessa touched on a little bit earlier. That's one of our outstanding educational programs, over 30 years old now, that really has such an incredible impact on our community and on the students and kids in our community, and a lot of our musicians are teachers in that program. So we are very, very dedicated to it. Then I think in 2019, with our previous CEO, we started the Young Musicians Program, which provides free tuition and free instruments to kids in the South Dallas area. So that's another sort of growth for educational programs. And so over that time, just everything has kind of expanded, everything's grown. Our previous music director, Jaap van Zweden, is one of the most in-demand conductors around the world. He was our music director until 2018, and our current music director, Fabio Luisi, is equally as in demand, conducting the Berlin Phil, conducting Concertgebouw, Cleveland Orchestra, San Francisco Symphony. So over the years, as I say, it started off probably as, let's put this group of musicians together for a music ensemble for the city of Dallas. And as this beautiful city has grown over those 125 years, the Dallas Symphony Orchestra has grown in excellence with it. And it's amazing to see all of those various steps and to just think what could be ahead of us. The same way, what is ahead of us with the city of Dallas. I have lived in this city now for 4 years. And even in those 4 years, I've seen enormous growth. So I just can't even imagine what it's going to look like in the next even just 10 years. And then I can't even imagine what the Dallas Symphony Orchestra is going to look like in the next 10 years, because we're so innovative. We're always trying to kind of think ahead of ourselves and, what can make an impact for our community? How can we grow with this great city of Dallas? And I think our history has shown that we've tried to follow along that path, and we certainly will continue along that path.
That's amazing. And I appreciated also, the artistry that, with the members of the symphony, that, it takes many auditions, that they're highly coveted spaces. And this is going to be
Yes.
the one shameless cultural plug of the podcast. If any of you ever get the chance, watch Mozart in the Jungle on Amazon,
Yes.
about the inner workings of how
Yeah.
a symphony works, because it's really cool, it's really unique, and it's really fascinating. And the second you
Yeah.
said that, that's immediately what it made me think of.
Yeah, and it started off as a book, actually. Mozart in the Jungle was a book written by a musician. I can't remember which orchestra, but written by a musician, and the book is fantastic. But yes, it is a competitive industry, and it is hard to get these positions. And that's why so many of our wonderful musicians stay their whole lives in one orchestra. I mean, we're celebrating, I think we just celebrated 54 years on one of our retirement. One of our musicians have been 50 some years, 54, 55 years in the orchestra, because when they get a position with an orchestra like the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, they stay put. I mean, this is a destiny orchestra. This is a destination orchestra, as we like to say in our industry. People come here because they know that they're going to be fulfilled artistically. They know they're going to live in a city that provides so much to them for their own personal lives and professional lives, that they can give back to the community by being in the orchestra, and that we continuously grow artistically. We go on tours. We just recently went on a European tour in June 2024. We are doing a tour to the West Coast at the end of March 2026. That is very, very important for the orchestra to do, because that allows them to be with each other in different spaces, but it also allows us to represent the beautiful city of Dallas in other cities around the world. Fabio used the term one time that I really, really loved. He described it almost like we are a business card that goes to these different cities. And I thought that was such a beautiful way of describing it. When this orchestra goes on tour, of course, it's a huge process to be able to do that, to take, 90 some musicians on tour to Europe, or 90 some musicians to the West Coast. But we are representing the city of Dallas when we do that with such great pride. And as Fabio said, we are a business card that can be offered in those other cities when we go on tour, which is I thought, a really cool way of describing the Dallas Symphony Orchestra when we're on tour.
That is cool. You are your business card. I love that. That's going to have to be a
Mm.
hashtag now. So I love that. So, you had mentioned, just a world-class space earlier, and I want to direct this next question to Vanessa, as the event chair. So each year the gala is held and when I say world-class, I mean world class. Like there's world-class and then there's double world-class.
Yeah.
And that's the Morton H. Meyerson Center. It truly is one of the most stunning, beautiful, architecturally, acoustically spaces really anywhere in the world. So, Vanessa, share how you as an event chair utilize this space, because that can feel really intimidating to an event chair or a lot of people, because you've got this just stunning space around you to really create a really memorable, unforgettable experience for your guests.
Sure. So, as you both have implied, for me, it's really hard to imagine a more spectacular setting than the Meyerson. The architecture from IMP alone creates a sense of occasion, but we really take advantage of the space in every way. From the grand lobby transformed for an elegant dinner to the concert hall itself, where our guests experience an unforgettable performance, and finally to the after party spaces that we activate with lighting, decor, and music. It's not just an event, it is a full sensory journey. So it's an immersion in music and celebration, and all in one of the most acoustically perfect venues in the world.
That's very well said and very well put. And, I'm glad that you mentioned, the multiple parts of the evening, because and there's another Dallas resident who was on this program previously, Lisa Cooley, and she once said it takes a village to really make an event successful. And one of the parts of the village is you as a gala chair or a leader, but a committee is what helps you execute your leadership. So talk about the importance of having a successful committee to help you carry out the vision for what you want this year's gala to be.
Of course, a strong committee is absolutely everything. It brings a diversity of ideas, relationships, and talents to the table. The Dallas Symphony Orchestra is lucky to have a dedicated community of ticket holders and donors and board members. And when your committee members feel empowered and excited, they become true ambassadors. So we as a committee, we keep our lines of communication open, we celebrate progress together, and we make sure everyone feels valued and part of something meaningful.
Empowerment plus exciting equals engaged is, that really needs to be that needs to be a hashtag on its own. That was so well said and so succinct and so well put. And, one of the things, Katie, that Vanessa had touched on, is just having unforgettable performances. So I'd love for you to share, take us to the gala from an artistic perspective, and how do you work on incorporating artistic talent at the gala throughout the night?
Yeah, I mean, of course, as Vanessa said, it's the whole event. It's the whole night is a big event to come to. And we are very lucky to have Denton Bricker on our development team. He's our director of events, and he does a sensational job of putting events together. He really does. He has such a good eye for that. From the artistic perspective, it's what happens then on stage. When the guests come for the cocktails before the concert, everyone's mingling, everyone's checking out each other's dresses, enjoying the lobby space. We will have music in the lobby. We often try to incorporate some of those other educational programs and groups like Young Strings, Young Musicians, so that we use that chance to highlight some of our other groups. Perhaps Dallas Symphony Children's Chorus members or Dallas Symphony Chorus members, just to really take that opportunity to showcase a lot of our other artistic groups throughout the organization. And then after the beautiful dinner that is always put together in such a special way, again, kudos to Denton Bricker for doing such a beautiful job always with that. We then move into the hall, and that's where the performance happens. And for the gala performance, when we're putting that program together, we're quite intentional about not having it be a full-length concert as you typically would see at the Meyerson Symphony Center, because the gala night is not just about the concert, it's about the entire event. But for the gala performance itself, we usually try to keep the program to, less than 60 minutes of music. And this year, we have the incredible Greek violinist Leonidas Kavakos with us as the artist. He was just recently with us, actually for that kickoff night of our 125th anniversary. On that May 22nd date that I spoke about at the beginning of the podcast. He performed Shostakovich with us, which was truly outstanding. The audience went absolutely bonkers for the Shostakovich, just because he is just such a refined, beautiful, sincere musician that can touch your soul immediately, even with a work that is maybe not as familiar, like the Shostakovich. He just has that capability. It's amazing. It was amazing to see the reaction of the audience on all performances back in May. And then we were fortunate, some people were fortunate to have a treat of him performing some Bach after that concert on May 22nd, which was also just so beautiful. So we're lucky to have him as the gala artist for our gala next season. And not only is he this outstanding violinist who is in high demand all around the world, he will also be performing one of the most loved violin concertos, which is the Tchaikovsky violin concerto. So if you are not a connoisseur, not a regular with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, and not a regular with coming to see classical music concerts, I could almost make a bet with you that you will recognize the Tchaikovsky violin concerto. And even if you don't recognize it, it is so immediately accessible. It's such a showcase piece. It has such beautiful melodies. It is so impressive, and especially with a violinist like Leonidas Kavakos, it's going to be, one of those moments that I can see everyone in the audience for that gala night just immediately leaping to their feet in applause for that performance. And we will close actually with the Tchaikovsky violin concerto, which is unusual, but again, the format for the concert at the gala concert is, the gala event is a little unusual because it's shorter. We open with Beethoven's Egmont Overture, and that is a nod to our music director, Sir George Solti. So we specifically picked the Egmont Overture because that was on one of his first performances as our music director. And obviously having Sir George Solti as one of our music directors is a very impressive thing in our history. He was music director for Chicago Symphony and many others. So we'll open with Beethoven Egmont Overture. Of course, Beethoven is a familiar household name. And then Leonidas will perform Tchaikovsky's brilliant and exciting violin concerto, and that will close the program. I'm sure he'll spoil us with an encore as well. So we're really lucky to have him as our gala artist. I think one of the things that I mentioned to people about Leonidas is he's in such high demand. He performs with all of the greatest orchestras in the world. Every great conductor wants to work with him. He has a trio that he performs regularly with. And in that trio, he's joined by also very familiar names, pianist Emmanuel Ax and cellist Yo-Yo Ma. So those three are such great friends in that trio together. And so that just gives you an idea of what a huge name Leonidas Kavakos is. So that will be the concert. And then that ends, I'm sure, as I say, he'll give us an encore. Who knows what that will be. And then the party will continue. Then it sort of will move into the cooler music, let's say, where we start to tap our feet a bit in the lobby and enjoy the after party. So yeah, it'll be a fun night. It always is. It really always is. The daunting bit is deciding what to wear.
Oh, well, the most daunting challenge of all, to make it go with the theme and the decor and all that. And, Katie, thank you so much for sharing kind of, about the program element of it. Vanessa, I'd love for you to share with us some more details about the gala dinner and the after party, because really the DSO after party is probably one of Texas's very, very best after parties. So I definitely want to hear a little bit more about that and what you think makes, the DSO Gala after party has been such a success for so many years.
Okay, well, I do want to keep some surprises. I think we'll have some
Nice.
good surprises throughout the night anyway, with as far as music. And like Katie said, each part of the evening needs to feel like a destination, not a transition. And each act will have its own energy and identity from the dinner, the elegance of the dinner to the artistic excellence of the concert, as Katie has shared with us. And then, of course, the fun and unexpected joy of the after party. We will have a band, and we are working out some of the details for the decor and for what's to come that evening. So I it will be somewhat of a surprise, but it's going to, or my goal is, our goal is we want guests to feel like they're moving through an incredible journey and they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
That's the perfect way to describe that. And especially when you have, and that's what I think makes your gala so spectacular, is it's a three-act night. And most people, most
Mm,
organizations struggle with two. And yet
mm.
you successfully and seamlessly pull off three. And it's always good to kind of leave people wanting a little bit more and not divulging everything. And that's part of the fun and why people actually have to go. So and I know we're coming up on time, but I always like to end with this one question. And Katie, we'll let you go first, and then Vanessa, you can go second. And that is, what is one thing all successful galas and fundraising events have in common?
Mm. Fun. I
Perfect
think
word.
fun. It truly is. It's like I have been to so many of our galas now, and the minute you walk into our beautiful space, the Meyerson Symphony Center, it is just, you just feel fun in the air. It's the place to be. It's where you want to be. And throughout the whole night, every step of the way, the cocktail event, the music at the cocktails, the dinner, the concert in our beautiful concert hall, the after party, which is super cool. I'm telling you, ladies, those heels will get kicked off, but that's okay because it's at the end of the night. It's allowed. And our beautiful Meyerson Symphony has beautiful marble floors, so it feels nice and cool. And the dancing afterwards, yeah, I would just say fun. It truly is a fun night, and it is the place to be. And I think Vanessa put it so beautifully. We want it to be that you don't want to leave. And I will tell you, that is absolutely the vibe that we have every year at our gala, and next year will be no exception.
So well said. And Vanessa, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what it is that, what's one thing all successful galas and fundraising events have in common?
Well, I definitely think we want to keep people coming back, tying it into not wanting to leave. We want to also tie it back to the mission, the Gala's mission. I think that one thing all successful galas and fundraising events have in common, is a clear purpose that one can feel, that people can feel. The most
Absolutely.
successful events, yeah, the most successful events don't just impress, but they connect. They keep people coming back. When guests understand the impact their support makes and they feel emotionally invested, that's when you turn attendees into champions for your cause. The DSO provides accessibility of instruments and instruction to the young students in underserved areas of Dallas, tying it back to the mission. And these life transforming programs are inspiring, as 100% of students graduate high school and are accepted into college. So, really having people invested, knowing what their contributions, and their attendance is doing in the community and making it fun, as Katie said, I think those are the things that all successful galas and fundraising events should have in common.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the connection, I mean, those are two such perfectly complementary answers because fun is very important, but also the heart and the connection and understanding the mission and purpose so that people do want to come back and they are loyal to your event. And you can see why the DSO Gala is one of the, most beloved events in Dallas. They've got a very loyal following and, cheers to 125 years of DSO and can't wait to see what goes on for the next 125 years. So, Katie,
yeah.
Vanessa, thank you both so much for joining us. I've really enjoyed chatting with both of you today.
Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you for the time. And we so appreciate the support that we have from our community here in the city of Dallas, and really excited for the future ahead.
Yes,
Ab-
thank you. Katie said it, and I will second that. Thank you. And yes.
Absolutely. And the 2025 Dallas Symphony Orchestra Gala will be held on October 4th, 2025 at the Morton H. Meyerson Symphony Center in Dallas, Texas. For more information, please visit dallassymphony.org. And that will do it for this episode of Fun and Fundraising. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and your guests will have a great time. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.